February edition of the W-OLGC Newscast. We're going to start out with Marissa here so she can tell us about what's going on in nursery and preschool.
That's right, Tommy. They just had a really fun day with their grandparents. During the Grandparents' Day party, the students' grandparents came in and talked about themselves. They talked about their jobs and what their lives were like back then. The children loved their stories. After they had all that fun, they learned about the letter K. They also had a Valentine's Day party. All the students brought in candy for their classmates. They had a great time. Coming up, the students will be having a Dr. Seuss Day. And Tommy, they will be honoring Dr. Seuss by having a party and eating green eggs and making hats. I hope they have fun.
Sounds delicious. Now let's go over to Kyle where he's going to tell us about what's going on in kindergarten. I heard they're still learning the alphabet.
That's right. In pre-K this month, they are learning about the letters I, J, K, L, and N. They are also practicing their addresses and home phone numbers. In kindergarten, they are learning about Jesus, how Jesus is a loving friend and how he showed his love to his parents. In ILA, they are learning about the short vowel sound. They are also memorizing numbers that are in the teens.
Sounds like they'll get to 100 soon. Speaking of 100, let's go over to Colleen where she can tell us about what's going on in first and second grade.
That's right, Tommy. The first grade was crazy and excited for the 100th day of school. They will be making necklaces with 100 beads. Make sure you look for them. They are also working on reading. In science, students have examined rocks and have compared the rocks with soil. In math, they're also learning their tens and ones. Second grade is learning about all kinds of adjectives. They are also learning how to regroup with addition and subtraction. The students were also excited to share their volcano projects. They had a great time. We also want to congratulate them on making their first pennants. I remember that, don't you, Tommy?
Yeah, that was a special time. Now let's go over to Anthony where he's going to tell us about what's going on in the third grade. I see a multiplication table.
That's right, Tommy. That's exactly what the third grade is doing. In third grade, they're working on their multiplication facts from 1 to 12. They will also start division soon. In math, they're also learning about square numbers. I remember that. That was my favorite. In ILA, they're learning how to divide words with syllables. They just finished reading One Small Place in a Tree. In religion, they're learning about the parts of the church and how important it is to listen to the homilies and are always reminded to go to church every Sunday. I forget how to get to third grade. Well, that's not a problem. With the help of Daniel Boone, I will never lose my way again. In social studies, they're learning about the Lewis and Clark expedition. As you know, Tommy, Daniel Boone was the pathfinder for the Lewis and Clark expedition.
Speaking of Lewis and Clark, didn't Thomas Jefferson help them out? Hey look, I see him over here with Sean.
You got it, Tommy. The fourth graders are learning all about the presidents. They are reading a story about the presidents in the Storytown textbook. They have discovered that many of our presidents have nicknames and what they are. The fourth graders have also been creating unique president flags. In math, the students are busy graphing the Olympic medals. They are not only graphing, but they are learning about fractions too. They are also making mystery bookmarks about their favorite books with only 3 clues. Once they are finished, they will trade their bookmarks with a classmate to try and figure out what the mystery book is.
Speaking of mysteries, I heard there's some mysterious ingredients in a project in Mrs. Steele's room.
That's right, Tommy. In 5th grade, the kids are cooking up a storm in Faction Cafe. For 2 weeks, the students cooked a whole bunch of different recipes in front of the class so Mrs. Steele could assess their measuring skills and knowledge of fractions. They sure had a lot of fun and ate a lot of great foods too. The students are also now working on Chapter 10 and learning how to add and subtract fractions and mixed numbers. In ILA, they are learning about pronouns and continuing to work on their writing binders. In science, they are learning about landforms. In social studies, the students are learning about the economy and playing the stock market game. So it looks like the bull is loose in their classroom, Tommy.
Wow, I gotta check my stocks now. Let's go live to Kyle where he's gonna interview a couple 8th graders about Catholic Schools Week, including Anthony Byrne, the spelling bee winner.
Omniscient. O-M-N-I S-C-I-E.
We are doing a man on the street interview with some 8th graders about what they thought of Catholic Schools Week. Here's our first 8th grader.
Hi, I'm Anthony. So I really enjoyed Catholic Schools Week because it was a nice time to wrap up everything here at Our Lady of Council. Last game show, last comedy. It was a nice student teacher day, being principal for the day, and I really enjoyed the pep rally and everything.
I liked student teacher day. It was fun. I got to be Dan for the day.
I really enjoyed being a student teacher and learning what it's like, the experience of being a teacher, and I really enjoyed the pep rally because I got to cheer and it was really exciting. It's going to be our last one here. It's going to be really good. It was really fun. I enjoyed student teacher day and I also enjoyed the pep rally because it was just fun to do and it was a good way to wrap up like Catholic Schools Week as our last one.
That's it for our Man on the Street interview.
Thanks, Kyle. Sounds great. Now let's get over to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade science, where it looks like they're splitting atoms. Now you're...
Thanks, Tommy. That's right. In 6th grade science, they are finally finishing up their lesson on physics, and they are starting earth science. They are also writing about the Olympics and how it relates to what they have learned in science. In 7th grade, the students have just finished their first microscope lab. In the microscopes, they are looking at bugs, animals, drinks, drugs, and fungi. In 8th grade, the students are learning about chemical reactions. They learned what forms when you mix Red Bull and milk. The students also played periodic table battleship.
Uh-oh, I hope my ship doesn't tip. Speaking of tips, I heard that's what they're learning in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math.
That's right, Tommy. The students are learning percents, taxes, tips, and discounts. In 6.1 and 7.2, they will begin geometry and surface area. They will learn how to apply the Pythagorean theorem to real-life situations. In 7.1 and 8.2, they will continue with multi-step equation, inequalities, and graphing.
The students just finished their school projects this week, and Mrs. Burnham said they did a great job.
And Tommy, students will also be breaking apart word problems.
Speaking of words, I hear 6th, 7th, and 8th grade social studies doing a lot of writing.
You got it, Tommy. The 6th and 8th grade have to write essays 300 to 500 words. Also, 6th graders, don't forget to list at least one source other than your textbook. They also learn about the Muslim faith, Islam. In 7th grade, they have some tests coming up, so hopefully they study their notes and study guide. The 8th grade had to create an essay. This essay was on any subject in either chapter 23 or 24. The essay had to be 500 words in MLA format with sources they used. Wow, Tommy, that sounds like a boatload of work.
Sounds great. Now let's go over to Eddie, where he's going to tell us about 6th, 7th, and 8th grade ILA.
Thanks, Tommy. Mrs. Goki's 6th grade class is reading the book Fever 1793, which is about yellow fever that spread around Philadelphia. They are also learning about possessive nouns in grammar. In Mr. Peasy's 7th grade class, they are reading The Outsiders, which is about a kid who lost his parents and struggles to survive as a member of the gang. They are also learning to diagram infinitives, gerunds, and participles. In Mrs. Gold's 8th grade class, they are reading The Giver, which is about a perfect society that evolves into a problem society. They also completed a lesson on verbs, Tommy.
Sounds like a lot of action. Speaking of action, I heard there's a lot going on in the gym.
That's right, Tommy. And Jim, Mr. Walsh is introducing us to a new basketball unit.
He is teaching us how to dribble and shoot. Some classes are also learning a new game called Dribble Mania. In computer class, 2nd grade is working on their book reviews. 3rd graders are researching special days in February. The 4th grade has just started their exciting Under the Sea unit. In 6th grade, they are making history tagzitos, while 7th grade students just learned about copyright, plagiarism, and fair use. In Spanish, 3rd graders will have an objects test. The 5th graders are working on projects on Spain. The 6th grade just took a test on Chapter 4, and the 8th grade are working on Chapter 17.
That's all for specials, Tommy.
Thanks, Jamie. Well, it looks like we're out of time for this month, so we'll see you next time on the W-OLGC Newscast.